These are the components of the pipeline manager. On top, the pipeline roadmap and the dashboard below. The dashboard is used for the daily or weekly updates, and the roadmap gets updated accordingly. Well, about the roadmap first, the red bars are the timelines of the projects, and the darker part in the middle is when the project is in a bottleneck. The chain of all those darker parts are the critical chain of the pipeline. And the pipeline and the projects can't move faster than the critical chain. Looking to the dashboard, it shows the position of projects relative to the bottleneck. When projects in the bottleneck, they show up in the pink in column. When they are ready, they move to the out column and finally to completed. On the left is the backlog. This is the list of projects still to do. And when capacity becomes available, projects automatically move to the schedule to start column. And when people pick it up, projects move forward to start it. And as soon as work becomes available for the bottleneck, a project moves from the started into the waiting column. And the waiting column acts as a buffer for the bottleneck to prevent that the bottleneck runs empty or runs out of work. Well, let's see how this works. Moving a project to the out column triggers a number of things to happen. The bottleneck activity, you know, the darker part in the middle, is removed from the roadmap. And because of this, the projects in the roadmap move all a little bit closer to us. And as a result of that, projects may move from the backlog into the schedule to start, like what happened for Empower. This together is a feedback loop that protects the bottleneck from getting overloaded. When we move a project from the in column to the out column, the workload in the bottleneck drops. And in this case too much, and the column turns purple. Well, the bottleneck picks up new projects from the waiting column, so it is important that the waiting column remains filled. Well, these are two scenarios I like to share about misalignment in the pipeline, and you might recognize this in your organization. The first one is the jammed bottleneck. You see that the work is piling up in the bottleneck, and the percentage indicating above the in column indicates it is way too high. And according to the percentage above the started column, twice as much work is in the pipeline as what the bottleneck can handle. And this is critical. When the bottleneck gets overloaded, then productivity drops dramatically. And this affects all projects in the entire pipeline. And that is what the right side of the graph is showing. The remedy for this is to push back projects from the in column to the waiting list and from the started column to the backlog. The second scenario to show is when the bottleneck is running empty while there's plenty of work. When there is no work, there is no productivity. And that is what the left side of the graph is showing. Well, when organizations are not familiar with concepts of the pipelines, they let projects overrule the pipeline. And that is a very sneaky way to lose lots of money. But it is also easy to fix. The remedy is to work only on other projects when the schedule to start and the started column are empty. Focus on less projects speeds up the pipeline, and only start new projects when the dashboards move them from to the schedule to start column.